Every day you flick through the same trends on Instagram, eat the same bland cereal in the morning, and sit through the same monotonous calls at work. Let's face it, your life is boring as f***. And here's the biggest reason why. You haven't taken enough risks. Whether you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, asking out that cute stranger across the bar, or moving halfway across the world to live in your dream city, it's scary to take a leap into the unknown. We tend to jump straight to the worst case scenario. What if nobody ever watches my videos and I waste all this time for nothing? What if that cute girl rejects me? So is that a banana, or are you just happy to see me?
It's a banana.
What if New York turns out to be more like I Am Legend than your favorite episode of Friends?
Oh my God, I can't believe it!
But important life changes rarely ever happen in our comfort zone. We don't take risks for the hell of it. We do it because the other side of risk is better than our current reality. And so if you want to live a life that's filled with purpose, adventure, and happiness, then you're gonna have to get really comfortable being uncomfortable. So I wanna talk about how you can push yourself just a little bit further, take the right kind of risks, and consistently embrace uncertainty in a way that feels right for you. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I'll talk more about them later. When you think of risk-taking, your mind might jump to adrenaline junkies bungee jumping from helicopters, or that kid on Reddit who put his life savings on GameStop. But you don't need to do crazy stunts or put your entire life savings on the line to be an effective risk-taker. In fact, if you're anything like me, you'd immediately nope out of both of those conversations. Much like coffee and credit scores, not everyone's relationship with risk is the same. There are a ton of different factors that determine how comfortable you are with them, from your personality to your age, your upbringing, and your past experiences. But no matter where you fall on that spectrum of risk takers, the first step to pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is to start really small. If you really want to get better at understanding risks, you can learn a lot from entrepreneurs. In a study from the Cambridge Innovation Center, researchers found that entrepreneurs show the greatest tolerance for risk. And when you think about it, it's not all that surprising why. Entrepreneurs have to get really comfortable stepping out into the unknown, from taking out their first loan, to starting their first business, or launching their first product. They continually need to push themselves in ways that very few people do. Why do they embrace risk? Well, without it, they fall into what economists call the Innovators Dilemma. This is where companies continue to sustain existing technologies instead of investing in new and often better products that disrupt industries. It's why Blockbuster went bust, the music industry was flipped upside down, and why you've got an iPhone in your pocket. Those who push the boundaries and take risks are more likely to find success. But you don't have to invent the next Uber to learn how to apply these lessons to your own life. Smart entrepreneurs take risks that are on scale with their business. So they start out with lower stakes to test the waters, and then they flex their risk-taking muscles as they go along. So instead of throwing your entire paycheck into crypto, you could start by investing $100 into a micro-investing app. Rather than moving to a cabin in the middle of the woods to be a reclusive artist, you could post a painting on Instagram. Or before you nominate yourself to give a talk in front of hundreds of people, maybe try holding someone's attention on chat roulette. Is that still a thing? So I actually just had a conversation with Nat about my business, and she said, I could never do what you do. I couldn't deal with the pressure and take the risks that you have to take every day. But I didn't take all of these risks on day one. I started out really simple, and I took more as I got more comfortable. So when I was in college, that's when I started my freelance business, and it seemed like the biggest risk of my life. And then a few years later, I decided to direct my first documentary. And then I started my YouTube channel. And then over the past couple of years, I increased my risks even more by starting my company Slow Growth and hiring an entire full team of creatives. At each of these stages, it felt like it was a leap of faith into the unknown. I was nervous. I wasn't sure how it would go. But I knew that in order to avoid living a mediocre life, I had to push myself further. And I know that I'll need to continue to do that in the future. If I don't, then, well, my life will get really boring. One of the most powerful ways that I've learned to stomach these moments of overwhelming self-doubt is to ask myself the question, what's the worst that could happen? And when we really sit with that question, we often realize that the answer isn't as bad as we think. When I think back to the moment when I decided to start my YouTube channel, for instance, I ask myself that same question. What's the worst that could happen? And I really just played that out, and I went down that rabbit hole. And I thought, well, I guess I could start uploading videos and nobody watches them. Okay, so I waste some time and energy. What else? That's not the worst case scenario. All right, well, my friends could start making fun of me for putting myself out there. They did. I guess I'd have to give up some of my freelance revenue for a little bit. I'd probably burn through my savings pretty quickly. And I guess at that point, Nat and I would have to rely on her salary alone for a little bit. That might mean that I'd need to cancel my gym membership and start working out from home. I might even have to get thrifty and start shopping with coupons. But I guess things could always get a little bit worse from there, right? So I thought, what happens if Nat loses her job? Well, I guess in that scenario, we could go back and live with my parents. That's definitely a solution. You know, when I first started thinking about it, I thought that starting my YouTube channel was this life or death moment. But then after I started digging a little bit deeper, I realized that we were so far from reaching this worst case scenario. And even if we did have to move back home to live with my parents, that's really not all that bad. I mean, I'd done it before, I can do it again. And now, equipped with this knowledge, I realized that starting my YouTube channel wasn't really that risky at all. There's a simple practice you can do that might shrink your greatest fears even more than just asking this question. You could try living them out. Entrepreneur and self-proclaimed human guinea pig Tim Ferriss runs an experiment every month called fear setting. This exercise is inspired by the words of Stoic philosopher Seneca. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? The idea is to define the worst case outcome, and then to actively immerse yourself in that situation. Say you're worried about your business idea failing and ending up with no money. Well, you might practice living off of $10 a day by eating simple and affordable foods. Hell, if you're up for it, you could even pitch a tent in the middle of the woods to cut yourself off from the comforts you've grown accustomed to for a short period of time. Often you'll find that the worst case scenario is actually pretty tolerable. Actually, give me a moment real quick. So this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Let's say that you're a risk coach and you want to teach people how to do the unthinkable. Well, if you want to do that and you want to get new clients, you probably want a beautifully designed website. What was that? So you go to Squarespace and grab the domain MrRiskyBusiness.com. Next, you choose a template that fits with your company's vibe. This could work. After that, you can add photos, drop in your logo, include a call to action, all with just a few clicks. It's never been easier to build a website or encourage your followers to get risky. Visit squarespace.com today for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MacDiavella to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So when you use the link in the description below this video, that really helps to support this channel. Thank you, and thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Oh my God, what happened to my light? Shit. So even the most fearless entrepreneurs don't take crazy risks just for the sake of it. They only take them after a deep analysis to see if there are enough rewards to justify the leap. Successful entrepreneurs take calculated risks, and so should you. To do this, you should consider not only the pros and cons of taking the risk, but as Tim Ferriss recommends, you should also consider the potential cost of inaction. So say that you're thinking about quitting your job to start your own freelance business. You might draw up your cost and reward analysis into 4 quadrants on a piece of paper, adding the cost of inaction, the reward of inaction, the cost of action, and the reward of action. So for the cost of inaction, it might be staying in a job that I hate, only getting 2 weeks of vacation a year, and always wondering, what if? And for the reward of inaction, I'll have the safety of a paycheck, nobody will judge me if I stay, my life will remain comfortable. For the cost of action, you might put, my income will dramatically reduce for the foreseeable future. If I fail, I'll need to find a new job, and I'll lose my health benefits. And finally, the reward of action, I'll have a much higher earning potential, my work will align with my passions, and I can create a better work-life balance. So when you run this risk and reward scenario, you might very well decide that this is the moment to go all in on starting your freelance business. And to be honest, I'm totally with you. It sounds like you fully thought this thing through and you're ready to take action. But before you take the leap, there's one more thing you need to think about. You might have heard the expression, leap and the net will appear. Well, in my opinion, that's terrible advice, and it's the quickest way to land right on your face. Desperation can lead us to make crappy decisions and do things that we'll later regret, like selling our mint condition Charizard card. I don't want to talk about it. Whenever I'm planning out a risky move, I always factor in my safety net. So when I set out to start my YouTube channel, I didn't take the leap right after I overdrafted on my checking account and needed to borrow money from my parents in order to get by. I waited until I paid off a significant amount of my student loans, I was earning a substantial amount of income from my freelance business, and I had built up a solid runway first. Starting my channel wasn't a huge monetary risk in the beginning. The real risk came when I decided to stop taking on freelance work to devote all of my time and energy into making things happen. So to make that jump full time, I built up a runway of 1 year of basic expenses. That was my safety net, and it gave me the confidence I needed to stop taking on client work and to pursue my creative career full time. My runway was built upon my own risk tolerance. Others might be able to get by with even less, but here's the main point. I took a calculated risk. Having a safety net or a plan B doesn't make you a coward, it makes you strategic, and it allows you to make better decisions knowing that you have something to fall back on. So if you're looking around at your life right now and asking yourself, is this really it? Am I really happy to endlessly scroll through Instagram, eat the same old breakfast, and show up at the same unfulfilling job? Me? Or am I ready to take a step into the unknown? When you look at it that way, sticking to the status quo sounds a little bit risky to me. Thank you so much for watching this video. By the way, for those who have been patiently waiting for my YouTube course to open up, the wait is almost over. Master YouTube opens for limited enrollment starting on April 11th. So close. So if starting a YouTube channel is on your bucket list for 2022 and you're ready to take a calculated risk, stay tuned to learn more. Bye guys, see you, bye.